So, how many X books can Marvel support a month? Well, we're up to 12, not counting double shipping, come April. And granted, that's a fuzzy number because there's some limited series thrown in there and some one shot. There's a bunch of things in there, so that's not a fair number. But what is also not tied in there are all of the, if we're going to continue this two X-Men books a month and other kind of double shipping, how many books are we getting? It's hard to tell. How much is too much? Hey everybody, this is Perch. I was a fan, am a fan of the House of X, Powers of Ten. I still Powers of X still is what comes into my head. I know. But I was a fan of it and still am. I think that was a smart move. I mean, obviously a smart move. It generated a lot of money. It generated a lot of interest. It gave a huge kickstart to the X-Men franchise. I think it was cleverly done what Hickman did, and all in all, I think it was a good move. What went down, and certainly you saw a huge fan response. You saw a lot of people really getting behind the comic and everything it produced. So, happiness. It was a success. But, well, not but, there's still more to say first. Then what also happened is that Hickman kind of went out and picked a number of writers who could continue to expand this universe. And while it hasn't been explicitly said, it felt like with Teenie Howard and Brian Edward Hill and some of the people that were picked to do these books, Gary Duggan, that he was picking different personality types that were going to be writing very different types of books. And whether intentional or not, I do think it was intentional, what we got was a Dawn of X universe with multiple titles that appealed to multiple sensibilities. You didn't just have a single, all the books feeling the same. You had very distinct feel. If you like Marauders, then Excalibur may not be for you because they have a very different storytelling approach, very different mythologies, very different things going on. And that's a good thing. It's smart to diversify a line by having very, very different books. Unfortunately, the comic industry itself is sort of defeating some of this by the idea that you have to buy them all. Now, quickly, some might say, "Hey, nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying that you have to buy them all." Well, that's true. Nobody is saying that out loud, but that has been kind of the standard that Marvel and DC and others have produced. So they're sending kind of two colliding messages. One of, hey, we've got this new line, Dawn of X, lots of X-Men books, and different feels, different approaches to each. So therefore, you don't have to collect them all. You should collect the ones that appeal to you. We're trying to make a line that appeals to a broad amount of people, and not every single comic we put in Dawn of X is going to apply to every single person. That's fine. At the same time, they do a, hey, you'll want to collect them all. Hey, we're going to do a storyline where Professor X is shot and it kind of weaves through everything. Hey, we are going to try and do a tighter, more connected universe with a lot of planning and connection between everybody. So there's kind of, you don't have to collect it. We're deliberately putting it in play that we've got different writers with different messages. And at the same time, hey, all these books actually have tight continuity with each other and they all work. Now, those two messages don't have to collide. You can have an imprint or a line of comics that you share a common goal, common characters, common layout, and then still have them tell their own stories and basically still create that broader market. Unfortunately, that takes some, for lack of a better word, some elegance in the marketing to properly give that message to the consumers, and that's not what is happening. Both of what I just said, that kind of layout of how I talked about Dawn of X and the books, I don't know that you've heard anywhere. I mean, have you seen the Newsarama Bleeding Cool CBR article, the interviews? Have you seen anybody say what I just said? I don't think so. Certainly not explicitly. And I think that is a big, miss on Marvel's part, that they have set up a pretty interesting universe, a lot of different writers and a lot of different styles that can appeal to different people, but they haven't really communicated that they're doing that. And at the same time, they're sending a message to collectors of, hey, 12 books a month. Let's just hammer your wallet into submission. It's dawn of taking cash out of your wallet is what's going on. So that gets us to and then the books have continued, and you've got a new Leah Williams book, X Factor. You've got the Hellions book with Cable. You've got the someday maybe announced X Corp. You've got the X-Men Fantastic Four crossover. You have the giant size X-Men. You've got more. There's at least, there's a couple writers out there on Twitter saying, I've got an X book, but I can't announce it yet. Hopefully soon. And you're like, Jesus, how much more can you take? I mean, it's getting to be quite a lot. And so for readers, there's almost a tapping out moment where it feels like Marvel set up a pretty good golden goose, if you will, of these X books. And now it's just being pummeled into submission of how many books can we crank out before the fans scream bloody murder. And it feels like we're there, like the fans are screaming. And that's a problem. So what would I do? So first of all, how many X books would I put out? I would try and have a very core, solid 5 a month, 1 a week, if I'm doing a tight connected universe. I think you can build to what we've got today, which is, the lots of different X books, lots of different parts of all this. I just think they've moved way too fast. They've got these books shooting out, a couple new ones every month, and then it also feels like they're forgetting certain books. What is going on with Fallen Angels? Is it on hiatus? Is it canceled? Was it a limited series, and now Brian Edward Hill's going to come back and write a different series? What's going on? That level of communication and marketing it's not there. And I think even going back to my interview with Brian, he wasn't aware that they were double shipping his book for several months. So like, how tight is this world being controlled and created and crafted? Is it who's calling the shots? Is it Hickman? Is it George White? Is it somebody else within corporate? Is it Kevin Feige who's trying to get a bunch of stories out so he can build kind of the next phase of the MCU with mutants? I mean, what is the plan? I think that's the part that has got a big question mark around it. And so how it comes to the X books, we've just got a lot of them. And there doesn't seem to be a really clear steering plan. It's almost like Hickman needs to do one of his infographics and come back to the table and say, all right, this problem I think could be easily solved. If you said, here's the core X-Men book, it's X-Men. And here's a book that's going to deal with kind of the new emerging mutants. It's over here, and it's going to have a fun, playful style. And here's one that's going to tap into magic, and that's Excalibur. And here's one that's going to be the bloody, violent, all-action book, that's X-Force. And then that's also Wolverine. That's going to be over here in the Ben Percy verse, if you will, this little corner. And then here's going to be a handful of limited series. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a bunch of 4 to 6 to maybe 12 issue runs where we explore some facet of this new Krakoa, and that's over here. We're going to have one that's more horror based, and one that's more romance based, and one that's more, and here's the infographic that shows what is going on, and then basically lay it out for readers. Here's how you can consume our books. Here's how it's going to be done. I think that would be first of all, a brilliant move. It hasn't been seen in comics in a long time. It's exactly what the X universe needs right now, because today it's just like it feels, if you're a buyer now, and I think if you're at Marvel, you're an editor, writer, whoever you might be, and you're in this X office and you're listening to this right now. I know a couple of you do. Whatever you believe you're doing, which is fine. You guys may have an awesome strategy. You know what's going on. You've had some summits. You've put it on whiteboards. You're good. The feeling from the readers, not just this one, not just me, not just some guy on YouTube, but the feeling from the readers in the stores is that there was a maybe better than expected story in House of X Powers of 10. And then there was almost a shotgun blast to the face of how many titles can we rush out as fast as we possibly can. And I think that's unfair. So Marvel, I think this is an unfair perception, because in a lot of cases, I know you are planning some of these books, and some of these things have been talked about for a year. And so they're just now getting ready to see the light of day. So you're planning, you're doing the right things, you're planning. But the way it's coming across to the buyers, to the customers, is that it's a giant cash grab. It's how much cash can we gobble up as fast as we possibly can before reader interest turns away and moves on to something else. That's how it's coming across, which is undermining your message, and it's actually accelerating you to the period where people are going to start to tune out. That's the problem. The solution, I don't think, by the way, one solution would be, fewer books. I think a lot of people in their wallets would appreciate that. But you don't have to. If you're trying to make revenue numbers, great. You need to explain better what you're doing, because it is what we went from a very what felt tightly controlled. Here's the issues. We got a little Hickman infographic at the back that shows here are the issues coming up, and a little symbol about where we are, and here's the important ones. All the rest. It felt like a very tightly connected, guided, managed universe, and it slid into a free for all where now, if you put a gun to the head of an average X fan, you say, name all the X-Men comics that will be published in April. People like, I have no idea anymore. I have no idea. And on one hand, that's cool, because to the shops, I know a lot of people just go into the shops and say to the shop owner, put me down for everything X-Men in my pull box. And to the shop owner, ka-ching, that's great. They just makes it easy, everything with X on it, put it in the pull box. That's wonderful. That won't last though. I mean, there's only so many weeks or months you can go in, and it's like, how much for my comics these last 2-3 weeks? Well, $70. Whoa, okay. There's only so many times that can happen before people are like, okay, I'm going to need to take a closer look at my pull box list and pare some stuff back because I can't afford that. That's where this is heading. So Marvel, you've got a good thing on your hands. People they feel like there was some faith and some love given to the X-Men fans who felt like they haven't gotten any in a long time. I also think you're smart, and you've got a bunch of different writers with different styles fleshing out this universe in different ways. I think that's clever. Good for you. More of that, please. But we've got to start to steer this thing a little bit more into what the plan is, because the plot has been lost. People are not sure now what is going on, and that's got to get addressed here now. So anyway, those are my thoughts. What do you think? How many X books can Marvel sustain over a month? Have we reached too many? Are you confused as well? Is there a book you love and a book you hate? And do you notice that there's a style difference between the two? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe. Your subscriptions, your likes help fuel my happiness. And I guess, is that the way I want to put it? No. I appreciate all the feedback. I guess that's the way you put it. Subscriptions, likes, those things are feedback. So they are welcomed and appreciated. Follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch. Would absolutely love to get your comments, what you'd like me to talk about. I will hit the topics that you are interested in. And last but not least, thanks for listening.